Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome along to Styria this afternoon for the Styrian Grand Prix. We had a good qualifying session yesterday, didn't we? Really entertaining, quite tight out of the front. A lot of the top 10 covered by under a second. We haven't seen that in a little while, so the grid is definitely being brought closer together. I think we're in for a great race today. It looks like we potentially could see some rain. The threat of rain's gone down to about 50% now. There is a few clouds lingering over the circuit. It's always had that possibility of the weather being a bit of a problem, but it's always one of those tracks where it's either really hot and sunny or it's raining. It's never in between. So, obviously, Max Verstappen starts on pole. Lewis Hamilton starts third with Lando Norris. Lewis Hamilton starts second. He did qualify third, but obviously because of Valtteri's penalty, it meant that he is now dropped down. Valtteri's dropped down to fifth. Lewis goes up to second. Lando up to third. So, I think we are looking for a good race because Bottas will have to get his elbows out this afternoon if he is to make up any positions. The grid is assembling. Yeah, it is. I'm just trying to find who will lead after that one. Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, or someone else. Do you know what? I think it'll probably be one of Lewis or Max. However, this weekend could be a turning point in the championship if they were to go wheel to wheel and one of them took each other out. So, also, can we just say happy 36th birthday to our 2016 champion Nico Rosberg? And it is his birthday today. Hopefully, you'll get treated to a fantastic race that Nico. Getting into the habit. Yes, Max is well and truly getting into the habit, isn't he, of getting that Pirelli pole position award. He's got it the past few times. I do have to say his qualifying has been impeccable, really. So we will potentially look at Max's qualifying stats later on. But first of all, I'm actually going to play you some of George Russell's radio.
George Russell puts his Williams into the top 10. Can Fernando Alonso, though, deny him? Alonso crosses the line. Russell is in the top 10, but for a few seconds before Fernando Alonso kicks in out of the qualifying three.
Okay, P11. It's not bad, three-time choice. Nice work. How close? 104.66 to 104.67. It could have been.
Yeah, so it was obviously it was very close, wasn't it, for George? Really did feel for him, actually. Thought he had a great qualifying session. So currently the constructors' standings are Red Bull lead on 215 points, then Mercedes on 178, McLaren on 110, and Ferrari on 94 in fourth. So it really is all to play for going into this Styrian Grand Prix. Absolutely anything can happen. We'll have to wait and see what unfolds in the next, what would it be? 2 hours. Yes, we will have to wait and see. I don't know what do you guys want to know from Styria? I'll try and find out. Let me know in the comments below. I will try and find it out as quickly as I can. As I said, not always promised though that I can get the information into you. So let's have a look. Hashtag Styrian GP is trending, yes. Race day, who's excited for this one? Let's go through McLaren first. You bet. Good luck, team. We'll be cheering you on the whole way. Yes, absolutely ready. Let's go. I hope the bracelets bring you good luck. So let's create bracelets. Haha. Lando podium. Can't wait to see Ricciardo proving himself. Let's go for it, team. It is a big day, isn't it, for Daniel Ricciardo? You know, I don't think he's really been on top of his game so far. this year. It's a bit of a shame, but let's have a listen to Christian Horner now.
Calms down a bit, gets a bit more experience. He'll, he's a bright prospect.
Let's talk about Russell then. P1 and P4. Just how important will the start be in that run up to turn 3?
Yeah, it's going to be vital to get a good start and get through the first turn cleanly. It's a long way up that hill. Checo's on the soft tyre, so hopefully he can get a good start as well. But we just got to get a clean first 3 corners and then settle into the race.
What's the main part that Checo's got to play today, Christian? Because obviously he's lining up alongside Bottas and not to allow them the freedom of strategy.
Yeah, I think we've split the cars, starting one on medium, one on soft, and the drivers were also in favour of that. So it's going to be fascinating to see how the strategy pans out. It's very warm today. And how that affects the strategy is going to be fascinating.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because no one's been able to predict the weather at all. This is not what we were expecting.
I mean, we're forecast rain every day so far, and it's beautiful. But it shows how much the forecasters know. But for us, it's important to convert these good grid positions into a good race and keep the momentum going.
And how good is it to be here at your home race with fans?
It's our first pole here. Ever. We started coming here in 2014 at the start of the hybrid era, and of course Mercedes and Ferrari have dominated that with pole positions, so we've managed to get a couple of wins. It'd be great to add a trio here today.
Absolutely. Well, all the very best today, Christian. Thank you very much for your time. And thank you, Paul.
So interestingly that Red Bull decided to go for the split strategy there. Right, but now it's time for our We Race as One message.
We race because it's who we are.
We race to compete.
On the tracks, in the pits, as a sport. But we all race for something bigger.
It's time we race
For equality.
It's time we race for sustainability.
It's time we race to be global citizens.
It's time we race for equal access, opportunities, and representation.
Because sport can change the world, but it's up to us to make sure that change is for the better.
United, we are stronger.
Change starts with you.
It needs to come from your heart.
Keep working,
Keep learning, keep on understanding.
we have a platform to
Shift change, starting little by little. Boy or girl, man or women, united for the same causes.
We have the opportunity to spread the right message.
If we all pull together,
Every single person has responsibility.
The best example is our own example.
We need to be responsible on what kind of mark we leave.
We don't have all the answers yet, but we can help find them.
Change starts here.
We race. We race.
We race.
We race.
We race.
We race as one.
Well, wonderful to see the initiative.
The drivers will now take the knee in the end of racism and to end racism and discrimination. There we go then. The drivers doing what they do always. So obviously it's something that we need to do, isn't it? It's something that we need to continue and something that Formula One and everyone involved, well, most people involved in Formula One really do support. Who will get their muscles out in turn one? We'll have to wait and see, won't we? I think it could be a muscly race, if I'm being honest. But now it's time for the national anthem of Austria.
Hoch vom Dachstein an, wo der noch haust, bis zum Wendeland am Bett der Saaf. Und vom Albtal an, das die Mürz durchbraust, bis ins Schwäbenland, im Tal der Trau, wo die Gemse keck von der Felswand springt und ein Jäger kühn sein Leben wagt, wo die Sennerin frohe Jodler singt, am Gebirg, das hoch in Wolken ragt, wo die Kohlenglut und des Hammers Kraft starker Hände Schweiß das Essen zeugt, wo noch Reichen stehen, grün und voll vom Soft, die noch nie ein Sturmwind hat gebeugt. Dieses schöne Land ist der Steierland, ist mein liebes, teures Heimatland. Dieses schöne Land ist der Steierland, ist mein viel geliebtes Heimatland.
Wow.
Well, what's the national anthem? The Styrian national anthem ringing around the mountains and of Styria and the Red Bull Ring. It was a great tune, actually, wasn't it? Obviously, we're now going to have a chat with Lando Norris, actually.
Got confidence in the straight line speed of this car, so what chance of the podium?
Well, I don't think ours is very different to anyone else, really, but no, I'm excited, you know. I look forward to it. It's going to be a tough race. A lot of guys behind you are going to try and get ahead of us and overtake, but I'm confident we have good pace in the car. I just need to manage the tyres well, and that's my main focus. How do you approach the start, Lando? Do you get stuck into the two in front of you with the soft tyre? I mean, yeah, we'll see in a second, you know. It can be a disadvantage, but it can also be an advantage. It depends how everyone else behind pans out. So I'll do my best. If I get into the lead, it makes me look good, so I'll definitely go for it.
Going well. Good luck. Thank you for your time. Always great to have a chat this close to the start of the race. Okay, let's head over to Anthony Skype.
We're now going to hand over to Anthony Davidson, who's out there in Styria.
Yeah, let's just remind ourselves of the start last time around here. For the Styrian Grand Prix, it was Hamilton on pole and Verstappen on second. It was roles reversed, but a fast-charging McLaren on the outside from Carlos Sainz into turn one. Now, you can try it around the outside, but he backs out of it because he doesn't quite know how close it's going to get between him and the Red Bull. You see many cars do this. Another thing to focus on, drivers losing control and making other drivers take avoiding action, losing their momentum, like it happened to Lando Norris there. Down into turn three, it's a good chance for overtaking. You can see here Sainz having a go, trying to go around the outside, but the Red Bull of Albon actually making it stick against the Renault of Ocon. So that was a really good move by him. The fight carries on down towards turn four. You can see once again how valuable that slipstream is, even without DRS. But it is a circuit that you can overtake on, of course. Here we are with Lando Norris last time around. Quite a late lunge down the inside, but he just about makes it work. So expect some pretty feisty racing today, I would say. And again, Hamilton now proving how powerful, when you've got the DRS as well as that slipstream down into turn four, how powerful it can be. So look out for drivers, say like Valtteri Bottas today, Daniel Ricciardo, who are a bit out of position. They can make a bit of ground up during this race with those three powerful DRS zones. Now we can go to Johnny, who I think's on the grid. Johnny?
Yes, I am. And you can hear the engine of the Ferrari starting up, warming itself up. But it's that man back there in the Williams in 10th place, George Russell, who I'm really looking forward to and I'm wishing he has a good race. Of course, then we got Lance Stroll. There's Lawrence Stroll there with the phone and the white hair. So if we go a little bit further down, Lee, got Fernando Alonso, of course, here. It's been the preparation, watching what these guys have been doing. It's been a lot of temperature, sort of these 300 sensors that we do have on these cars. But it's the temperature. And as I get close here to Pierre Gasly's car, we've got all these fans going on. But it blows so much heat into your face when you get near one of these Formula One cars. You walk away about 3 or 4 steps, it gets a lot cooler. So it just shows how hot these cars do run during the race. So Now we've got Valtteri Bottas strapping himself into the car. This is where the drivers really start to get themselves focused as much as they possibly can. And some of them obviously think they have a real strong position. Sergio Perez there on those soft tyres, hoping he can get some sort of jump as he goes into the start. But this is the man I'm really looking forward to. Lando Norris has got a great opportunity today to really get another great result for himself and McLaren. And of course then it's Lewis Hamilton who's getting ready, and you can see that his preparations of the final sort of seat belts and fitting around, making himself, he's very confident. And you can see the lady there, Angela Cullen. Well, she's always around Lewis, giving him everything that he needs from drink. He's got that little fan blowing in there. The cockpit, because you can see how hot they are. And of course, then you go to the front of the grid. You've got the pole man in Max Verstappen, just putting his helmet there in the background there, Lee. He's been very calm so far, and so is the team. And once again, you can hear that the engine's running on that Red Bull, getting the car up to temperature. And Natalie, I tell you what, this is fantastic down here.
Have you ever seen a more animated Johnny Herbert on the grid? I don't think I ever have. I think everyone's quite excited for this race. It's great to have Johnny back in Styria this weekend. We did miss him for the past few races where he hasn't been joining the crew out there. But yeah, he has a right to be animated, doesn't he? He really does. So, right, the drivers clambering and squeezing into their very tightly combined cockpits of their F1 cars. They are really, really like tight. The way the cockpits are made, all the seats are fitted, the seatbelt comes in. You really don't have any room to move, and that is in case you go off and have an accident. The whole idea is that the crash structure of the cockpit stops you from moving and supports you as much as it can. That is what the crash survival cell, which surrounds the drivers, is supposed to do. Like you saw in Bahrain last year, when my man Grosjean had his accident, the only thing that was left and still intact to the car was the halo and the survival cell. That is exactly what is supposed to happen. Everything is supposed to fly off and make it look very, very dramatic. Right, we're going to go for a quick break, but when we come back, we will have uninterrupted chat of the Styrian Grand Prix.
Redefine who we are and how we want to lead our lives. Basically, we choose what we want our future to look like. So what's yours going to be?
Jerry's here! Jerry! How are you?
Good to see all of you, yeah.
Why is Jerry so popular? It's been like this ever since we started using Workday. What do you mean? It makes it easier to develop great relationships with our suppliers. Now, everyone, everywhere loves Jerry. They sure do. They do. They really do. Mm-hmm.
Workday. Finance, HR, planning, and spend management for a changing world.
For those of you watching F1 on Sky Q, then Sky Race Recap allows you to quickly catch up on all the key moments from a Grand Prix weekend. So if you join late and have missed any of the action, or simply want to go back and watch the best bits once again, then you can. All you have to do is hit
almost
the red
ready for the
button
start of the
on your
Styrian
remote
Grand Prix
and
then.
select Race Recap. A timeline of events will appear that you can navigate through, including
Remember,
the start.
you can join the conversation, hashtag Styrian Grand Prix, and I will get through as many of those as I can in a safety car period, for example. I won't get through them when the race is live, but I will try and get through them. But now it's time for the Styrian Grand Prix.
This is a sporting war.
It is Hamilton and Verstappen, and Hamilton wheel to wheel.
This is epic.
Hamilton is fourth wide and he's lost a little bit of bodywork.
Oh, yes.
Lewis Hamilton, he has been put under immense Immense pressure by Max Verstappen.
Get in there, Lewis.
Guys out there, Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen out of this race. Hamilton goes straight up.
Well done, mate. Payback.
Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to Styria for the 2021 Styrian Grand Prix, the second time we've been here for the Formula 1 BWT Grosser Perez de Steinmark then. Round 8 of the Formula 2021 FIA Formula 1 World Championship. Spielberg Styria has produced some of Austria's best known motorsport figures, including Jochen Rindt, Dr. Helmut Marko and Dietrich Matey Sheets, I think that is. The Red Bull Ring has the fewest corners per lap, 10 of any other circuit on the current F1 calendar then. Right, let's have a look at the track. We've got 4.318 kilometres, 2.683 miles. 338.7 kilometres now is the top speed. 3 DRS zones then, 10 turns, and the race lap record is 105.6, which was set by Carlos Sainz in 2020 then. Turn 3 then, let's have a look. Last year, Leclerc and Vettel, they got it all wrong, and the both Ferraris came together. Turn 6 then, 2020, Verstappen and Bottas went for it wheel to wheel through turn 5 and turn 6. Verstappen came out on top in that one. Turn 9 then, 2014, Hamilton versus Alonso. Hamilton went down the inside at turn 9 and got that move done and dusted. The 3 tyre compounds we have this weekend, the C4, the C3 and the C2. That is the C4 being the soft, the C3 being the medium and the C2 being hard. And of course the wet weather tyres, because we might need them this afternoon. Let's take a look at our starting grid then. Max Verstappen starts on pole for the first time in Austria alongside Lewis Hamilton in second. Lando Norris starts third with Sergio Perez company in 4th. Then it's Valtteri Bottas who starts 5th after a 3-place grid penalty. He's joined by Frenchman Pierre Gasly for good company as well in 6th. Charles Leclerc starts in 7th alongside Fernando Alonso in 8th. Lance Stroll starts in 9th with George Russell having his best qualifying for Williams starting in 10th. Yuki Tsunoda starts in 11th with Carlos Sainz in 12th. He was out in Q2. Daniel Ricciardo starts 13th with Sebastian Vettel in 14th. Antonio Giovinazzi starts 15th with the second Williams and Nicholas Latifi in 16th. Esteban Ocon starts 17th. He's joined by the Finnish driver Kimi Räikkönen in 18th. Mick Schumacher starts 19th and he is joined by his teammate Nikita Mazepin in 20th then. Wow, that was a lot to get through. Bottas has done more laps at this track than any other F1 driver in the venue's history. He's going to have to do a lot of work if he wants to lead any laps today, starting from 5th. Will he be the driver that provides us the entertainment and really gets their elbows out? Sergio Perez in 4th. He's going to have to deal, isn't he? He's going to really have to deal with that Mercedes. Charlie's just messaged. I don't know if he's coming on or not. I'm going to ask him. He's going to join for a bit. We're going to have the company of Charlie Tolhurst as well. Very, very soon. So race start weather then is track temperature 53.4 degrees, air temperature 26.3. 45 on track overtakes we had here last year then. A lot of them are starting on the mediums apart from Norris, Perez, Gasly, Leclerc, Alonso, Stroll and Tsunoda, who all chose to start on that soft compound tyre then. But Hamilton, who locked up on his tyres, don't look too damaged, do they, in Q2? He had big lock up on the way up to turn 3 then. Right, one red light, and we are about to get underway for the formation lap then, as the Rolex clock is about to tick 3 o'clock local time, and the formation lap for the Styrian Grand Prix is go. So obviously Tsunoda starts 11th, but he's still obliged to start the race on the tyres that he got into Q3, because obviously he blocked Bottas in Q3, which they gave him, the stewards team, it was a 3-place grid penalty then. So DHL fastest pit stop of the season. I'm going to add Charlie now to the stream. Oh, we can't actually see Charlie. What's going on? Where is Charlie's face? Is he having a bit of, you having a technical issue there, Charlie? We can hear you.
I've got technical glitches and apologies, guys.
Try turning your camera off and on again. Okay, Charlie, just turn your camera off and we just hear you for today.
Can you hear me though?
We can hear you, Charlie.
Oh, so I've got volume. I do apologise. I come on and there was an issue with something. I may have to refresh my page.
Hang on, I'm going to remove you, and he's gone, and he's going to come back, but he might just about miss the race start here. Will Charlie Tolhurst. Right, let's see if this works. No, Charlie, you're just going to have to talk to us today, I'm afraid, because our cars are heading round the final corner now to make their way to the grid. For the end of the formation lap. Charlie, you've got a quick 5-10 seconds. Who's your chance to win today?
I'm going to go for Verstappen to win.
Verstappen to win. There we go. Charlie, can we still hear you?
Yes, I believe I'm still on the stream.
I was just checking. As Max Verstappen, it's quite a short run, isn't it, Charlie, down to turn 1?
It is, yeah. It's not the longest run. I do be aware turn 3 will get tight for action, just to confirm.
I think all the way up the back straight, that straight up to turn 3 from turn 1 is going to be tight, isn't it?
Yeah, it will certainly be.
I think you're going to need to hold your breath because it's going to get close. And obviously, it could have ended up in tears, couldn't it?
Oh, let's have a look when the lights go out.
Right. The rain is stayed away for the moment, but when it arrived towards the end of the race, we'll have to wait and see. As Nikita Mazepin and the two Hasses pull into the position at the back then. But Max Verstappen starts on pole from Lewis Hamilton. We get the green flag, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in Styria. And it's go, go, go. Hamilton gets a really good start. But so does Max Verstappen. Verstappen leads Hamilton then into turn 1. Do they all get through turn 1 safely? Lando Norris? No, there's quite a few going off, but they've all managed to so far rejoin. Lando Norris still leads. He's still ahead of Sergio Perez, but Perez is going to try the outside at turn 3. But Norris is going to cover the inside. Oh, there's a collision already, Charlie. And it's an Alfa Romeo who's been spun round at turn 3, but they've managed to carry on. Hamilton's under pressure from Sergio Perez and Lando Norris. Lando Norris is going to try the outside at turn 4, but it didn't quite work.
Norris has had a great start.
He has, but Hamilton's really under pressure from Lando Norris, Charlie, who is under pressure from Sergio Perez.
Just looking at the tyres as well, both Hamilton and Verstappen are on mediums. Norris is on the softs, according to my graphics.
Yes. You're right, Charlie. And someone's in the pits already, Charlie. It's a Ferrari of Charles Leclerc.
Oh, no. His weeks of misfortunes continue after his poor run in Paul Ricard.
And is that Tsunoda, Charlie's going to try the outside of Daniel Ricciardo at turn 1. It didn't quite work. And there's another car off the road. It's Mick Schumacher. But Tsunoda's going to try, and Daniel Ricciardo up towards turn 3. Can't quite do it. And Leclerc's got a puncture, we're hearing, Charlie, and that is why he's made his way back to the pits. But Sebastian Vettel is going to try the outside of Carlos Sainz at turn 4, goes off and locks up and just about gets it stopped in time before he takes an adventure to the gravel. Latifi's also got a puncture. He's in the pits as well. And who is that? Gasly's got a puncture. He looks to be out of it too, Charlie. He's got suspension damage.
Guys, it's all kicking off now at the start of the Styrian Grand Prix. And I don't even understand. To be honest with you, it's very clear that Charles Leclerc's misfortunes continue. He's now running well down the field in 14th place and still in the pits.
Yeah, there's a lot of debris that's been shredded all over the track from those punctures. And
oh, God. Leclerc's dropped down to 18th now. This is crazy. Ferrari are going to have a big afternoon on their hands to score some points.
I don't know what's happened to Gasly, Charlie. I wonder if he might have picked up some suspension damage. Let's listen to Hamilton now. And Hamilton's saying he's run over some debris, Charlie. There is a lot of it out there. I wonder if they're for a safety car.
I think they're going to need either a safety car or a VSC to clear that up because everyone's running over it and damaging their own cars.
Hamilton's saying his pressures are all right for now. And Pierre Gasly, Charlie, is out of this race.
Oh, what a shame. What a shame for AlphaTauri. That could have been they looked strong all weekend and they could have had some big points today. But Gasly out for the second time this season.
They could have done right. Let's have a look at the start then. The Alpine, Gasly gets squeezed. The fastest start, by the way, was Perez, who was 4.4 seconds, 0 to 200 kilometers an hour. Let's have a listen to Hamilton's start then. He doesn't get too much wheel spin, but Verstappen gets a really good start, and that just gives him, Charlie, the ability to cover off Hamilton into turn 1.
I think Hamilton initially got the better start, but I think Verstappen's covered him off into the braking zone.
Yes, he did. So let's have a listen to the clerk. He gets away well. He gets a nice slipstream from Valtteri Bottas, and he's going to try and go round the outside of Pierre Gasly at turn 1. He gets pushed slightly off the road, and they're going to run side by side. And that's where Gasly gets the puncture. So the clerk makes contact with Gasly, Charlie, going up the straight.
Going up the straight? Wow, that's a really weird place to make contact on a straight.
Because Gasly gets the puncture, Charlie. He then takes out Kimi Raikkonen at turn 3 when he couldn't stop. So that's how Kimi Raikkonen got spun round. Yeah, he's clearly got a puncture at the braking zone of turn 3, and he just doesn't actually get it stopped. Kimi Raikkonen tries the outside and doesn't make it through. Right, race control. DRS has been enabled. It wouldn't surprise me, Charlie, if race control decide to take a look at some of these incidents on the first lap.
Yeah, I think there will be a few. There will be a few incidents that will have to be looked at. I think clearly the incident I think they're going to have to look at is the first lap one between Gasly and Leclerc.
So Verstappen's just on the fastest lap of a 1:09. That was on lap 4. Quite a long, 71 laps we do of the Red Bull Ring. And there's a blue flag already. I guess that's for the clerk that's at the back of the train. As Perez has DRS now on Lando Norris into turn 1, but he's just going to be too far back. But if he gets a good exit, he might be able to run. No, he's going to be too far back, I think, going up the hill. But we'll have a look as they go towards turn 3. No, couldn't quite do it at turn 3. So it's 2 seconds is currently in the gap out in front as Daniel Ricciardo is going to have a little tussle with George Russell. Ricciardo's had a great start, Charlie.
I heard he didn't have a very good qualifying by what I heard as well, Daniel Ricciardo. So it's good to see him making up positions.
No, they're all pulling to the right-hand side on the exit of turn 3. I wonder if that is where the debris is, Charlie, and that's what they're watching out for.
Yeah, I think there could be potentially something, maybe a virtual safety car deployed to clear that up.
Well, we spoke. There was a chat with Michael Massey, Charlie, going round on Thursday. I'm going to say he said they don't like to use the virtual safety car anymore, as they don't deem it is safe enough to have marshals wandering around on the track. So they'd rather use the full safety car from now on. However, the virtual safety car could still be used if Michael Massey had his wishes to use it.
Yeah. The safety car will neutralise the race a lot more, I think, as it bunches the field up, whilst the virtual safety car is maintaining that gap.
And Perez saying he needs more power to get past Lando Norris. He's really getting compromised, the Red Bull driver, getting stuck behind the McLaren. But meanwhile, Valtteri Bottas, Charlie, has fallen to 10 seconds already behind his teammate and the leader.
He's ailing. He's got ailing pace in that car at the moment. And he's on the mediums.
Meanwhile, Tsunoda's just got past Ricciardo. I've just seen that on the timing screens. So Tsunoda up into 9th, unfortunately, but and Sainz has now got past Ricciardo as well. So everyone's getting past Ricciardo into turn 4. We're just having a look at that move again. Nice move from Yuki Tsunoda. And then where does Sainz get Ricciardo? He actually makes a move, Charlie, does Carlos Sainz, into turn 7.
Wow, what a move. That's a great move from Sainz. It's an interesting place to pass.
I wonder
Perez of last year.
I think Ricciardo might have a problem, Charlie, because he's just lost places to Vettel and Michael as well.
He's just dropping down the field. Oh, don't say Ricciardo's down at 13th now. Yeah, he's got a problem. Something's not right on his MCL 35M.
Not unless he went. I didn't see him go off the track.
Unless he ran wide.
He's just lost, Charlie, 3 tenths in the opening sector to the leaders. So Norris and Perez, 1.2 seconds is the gap in Norris's favour at this moment in time. Let's have a look at the gap. Hamilton versus Norris. Hamilton was 1.1 seconds quicker than Lando on that last lap. So Hamilton currently sitting 2.5 seconds behind Max Verstappen. Ricciardo radio, Charlie. Oh dear, Charlie. Ricciardo lost the power.
That is just ridiculous. That's just horrible. That's poor luck for Daniel Ricciardo. It's a mechanical.
He's been told by his engineer, Charlie, they're going to try the reset. It'd be a real shame, wouldn't it, for Ricciardo, because he's had a great start to this race.
He has, and this would be horrible, given that he had so much great. He had very good pace on Friday during FP1 and 2. Did Daniel Ricciardo? He looked really strong.
Ocon is right on his tail now as well. So we see how quickly Ocon gets past. I can imagine it won't take Esteban that long at all to get past.
Perez still in DRS range of Lando. Sergio Perez still in DRS range of Lando Norris at the moment.
You're right, Charlie. As he's a lot closer out the exit of turn 1 this time. And Valtteri Bottas, Charlie, is also benefiting with this because he's now got DRS on Sergio Perez. Well, not quite, but he will do next time around. As Sergio Perez goes down the inside of Lando Norris at turn 3, but he goes wide, and Norris is going to come back at him at turn 4. Is he going to try the outside Lando Norris at turn 4? Perez is going to force him the long way round, but he can't quite do it. And Perez, Charlie, at long last has got that 3rd place.
Yeah, Sergio Perez up to third now, so it's going to be interesting to see whether Perez can catch Hamilton in second. But he's a long way behind him.
It is, Charlie, and Perez being on the soft tyres, he's going to want to go as long as he can, isn't he? Let's have a look at this move again. It's a long, long way back. Does Lando leave the door open? Yes, he does. And Perez says, "Thank you very much. I'm taking that one." It was from a long, long way back, Charlie. It's a good move from Sergio. Spotted Lando leaving the door open, and he takes third place. But Bottas, right now, Bottas is on the tail of Lando Norris as well. Lando would have learned from his lesson. Surely he won't leave the door open, but Valtteri might be getting the job done before they get to the braking zone at turn 3. And Valtteri Bottas is now up to 4th. Lando Norris down to 5th, Charlie.
Norris has been overtaken by some big names there. I would expect Lando will be fighting today, mainly with the Ferraris and the rest of the midfield.
Just wondering, Charlie, is it a synchronized problem with the McLarens? Because they're both losing time at this moment. At the moment.
Oh, interesting. Both McLarens. Ricciardo's still 13th. Norris is down to 5th now.
So what we're hearing, Charlie, is Ricciardo's reportedly having temperature issues. But obviously, Lando's issues, he hasn't had anyone in front of him for a little while. So that can't... I'd be surprised if that's temperature issues as well. So it could be separate issues here, couldn't it, for the McLaren drivers?
Yeah, potentially.
Just under 3 seconds is the gap between Hamilton and Checo now. Will Mercedes roll the dice this time around, Charlie? And will they be the ones that throw Red Bull off, catch Red Bull off guard? And Hamilton goes wide, Charlie. In fact, he's dipped the wheel in the gravel. That was at turn 4. A mistake from the 7-time world champion might have just cost him a fair few seconds there.
Could have done. Don't know what the actual result of the time, how much time he's lost, Perez, by running wide.
But Perez has also lost time. Perez has lost about 10 seconds, Charlie.
10? What is going on today? It's clearly a track that loves mechanical issues, does Austria. Remember last year's race, only 12 finished the Austrian Grand Prix.
It is, Charlie. It does like good, doesn't it? Good technical failures. Norris has been told they're looking to extend Plan A. Hopefully, we don't get what Ferrari gets, Charlie, where we sometimes end up at Plan X.
Yeah, which means Plan Nowhere. If you are
if
you're a Ferrari fan, what happened at Paul Ricard last week? They stayed out too long and they damaged their tyres.
They did, and they lost a chunk of time and a chunk of positions as well by doing that. So far at the moment, we've got a relative DRS train at the moment going up that straight to turn 4. The altitude of this circuit really provides challenges for the drivers with temperature issues, because it's not a roller coaster, but they're up and down, and it does really unsettle the car of how it's set up.
It does. It's an interesting circuit, this one.
It's quite relatively short, just 10 corners as well.
Yeah.
Right. Russell, Charlie, is only just over half a second away from Alonso in 7th. Russell's had a really good start to this race and has made up 2 positions. If you're
George Russell's he's in the points at the moment. Wow.
He is, Charlie, but I don't want to...
He's on the medium tyres as well.
But we all know what's happened when Russell's been in the points before for Williams.
Let's not think like that today. I think for George Russell, we want positivity. Can Williams score their first points in many, many races?
It would be great, wouldn't it? But he's got the added pressure now of the remaining AlphaTauri in this race, Yuki Tsunoda chasing up to him, as the Leclerc goes down the inside of Nikita Mazepin at turn 3. And Mazepin, we know, Charlie, doesn't like to let drivers through. He has reluctantly now let the Leclerc pass.
Mazepin certainly not enjoying himself with Charles Leclerc there. But Nikita Mazepin
he's not
finally
last, Charlie. He's 17th. He's not last.
No, I don't know who last is. I think that is Mick Schumacher.
Nicholas Latifi at the moment. He's won that down as well. So the gap out in front pretty steady. It's been staying at about 3 seconds for the past few laps. We know, Charlie, that the Mercedes doesn't work very well in following other cars for long amounts of time. So is it a case for Lewis? He's going to reserve his tyres and then go for the sucker punch at some point in
Probably.
the race.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Lewis Hamilton attacking as much as possible early on his stint.
Perez lost half a second to the Mercedes in that on that 14, which was the last lap. I don't know what is going on for Checo, Charlie, but he's managed to get past Lando. It took him a long time to do that. Did sit behind that McLaren, just take the edge out of his soft tyres.
Potentially.
Right, we got 5 cars battling for 7th. That consists of Alonso, Russell, Tsunoda, Sainz, Vettel, Raikkonen. This could get a bit tasty in a few laps time. It's going to be Alonso who's going to be in trouble because he's the only one of them who's at the front without DRS. He's going to have them all swarming as he comes out of turn 1 up to the top of the hill, but is Russell going to be close enough to go for an overtake at turn 3? He might be, looks for it, but thinks better save it. But Alonso goes wide, Charlie, and Russell's going to have a good opportunity down towards turn 4 now. He's gaining on the Alpine. He's gaining, but again, he's just that little bit too far back.
Alonso's on the soft tyres, just to confirm as well, so they might start struggling for degradation now.
They might do, Charlie, and Russell is on the slower but the much more durable medium tyres. And just for those of you, go on, Charlie.
What would you be thinking if you're Mercedes or Red Bull now? Would you want to commit to the 1 stop or go for the 2 stop?
I think if you're Mercedes, you've got to roll the dice. You've got everything to play for, haven't you? And the only thing that I would suggest the teams would be worrying about is the weather, because the clouds are coming in from the southern side of the circuit, or the southwestern side of the circuit. So they come in at around turn 3 first, which is at the top of the hill. So there's a big dark grey cloud looming over that turn 3, Charlie. Will it drop some rain in a few?
Potentially, we're not sure about that.
There is a thunderstorm. There's a 30% chance of a thunderstorm at Austria, to hit the circuit at around 4 o'clock local time, I think. There's some screeching of tyres. Did someone have a lock-up at turn 4? And they've all carried on, so I don't think they went off the track if they did. But interestingly, Charlie, Nikita Mazepin is managing to keep up relatively well with the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc.
Leclerc's struggling to get past. He's struggling to get through the field at the moment. He's just not got the Ferrari have just not got pace by the looks of it again.
Russell's dropped out of DRS for Fernando Alonso, Charlie. I wonder if it's Russell that locked up at turn 4, because Alonso's extended his gap quite sufficiently. Let's see, Yuki Tsunoda can't get past at turn 3, but Russell's got Tsunoda, Sainz, Vettel, Raikkonen, and even down to Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon all queuing up behind him. Is Russell going to be in a bit of trouble in his Latin Alfa Romeo? Going to have a look on Esteban Ocon at turn 4? No. Yes, they're going to try the outside, but it doesn't quite work, Charlie. Interestingly, tyre performance, Verstappen 60%, Hamilton 80%, Charlie. So Hamilton's really looking after those medium tyres quite nicely.
Is he on mediums or soft? Oh, he's on. Oh no, they're on the mediums. Okay, I've just clarified that. Interesting. Both drivers on different sort of strategies, I suppose.
So Hamilton's dropped back to try and preserve his tyres, but Verstappen's saying he's got nothing left in his mediums, Charlie. Is it a bluff though?
It's going to be interesting.
And it is a bit gusty up to turn 3, which is where they seem to be sliding around. I mean, obviously, we did see Kevin Magnussen take a big slide there last year and ended in the barriers at turn 3. It was around this lap last year, Charlie, lap 20, when this race sprang into life. I have a feeling it's going to be a dramatic final 30 laps, maybe.
Probably.
They're all conserving their tyres at the moment. And then is it going to be like an FE race where one goes and they all go? Let's have a look at Hamilton's tyres now. They look in pretty good condition, actually. Charlie,
yeah.
Compared to Verstappen's. I mean,
I think Red Bull might have to throw the dice here.
And you can see graining already forming on the front lefts and rights of Max Verstappen's car. So we see, but interestingly, Hamilton's still falling behind. He's still extending that gap, Max Verstappen. But I have a feeling that is Lewis Hamilton dropping back and not Max Verstappen going faster.
No, I think that's Hamilton preserving his tyres.
Interestingly, Vettel's just on the fastest sector 1, and he's joining the party in this battle for 7th and 8th as well. Bottas radio now. So Valtteri being told he's stronger than Lewis at low speed. But problem is, Charlie, this track's a high-speed track. There's not many low-speed corners, is there, really, other than turn 3?
No, it's a very quick circuit in terms of average speed. Bottas is, I think he's still about 5th at the moment. He's still not. He's in the top 5.
He's overtaken Norris. He's up to 4th now.
Up to 4th now. He's struggling. He's still struggling.
The two go for it, and they get very close because Schumacher locks up, and Mazepin turns in on him, and then Mazepin then locks up. Mazepin, Charlie, got very close to his teammate there indeed. I think it would have been a hold your breath moment for Gunther Steiner when you see that.
I think Gunther would have been fuming if both of them collided again. Oh.
Right, so if you started on the soft tyres, you will expected to be coming in around now. As Max Verstappen, interestingly, just sets the fastest lap of the race. But Hamilton goes fastest in sector 3.
Yep.
But that track temperature, Charlie, has crucially gone up to 54 degrees. So if it does rain, we're going to need a proper shower, not just a light sprinkling, to even start to make the track wet.
Yeah.
And the pit window, if you're starting on the softs, is now open. So expect to see those soft tyre runners coming in the next few laps then. So let's have a look. Perez, Bottas. Bottas half a second quicker than Perez on the last lap. Lap 21, that was. Russell holding off this train, which starts to Yuki Tsunoda really nicely. And Mazepin comes into the pits then. So that's the first one in as Verstappen goes fastest. Bottas about half a tenth quicker than Perez in sector 2. Mazepin comes in 3.7 seconds, Charlie. We'll be seeing stops of around 4 or 5 seconds from Hungary when that new regulation comes in.
Yes, Jack, I've done a video about it. The new pit stop regulations are coming into full start in Hungary, and I've been hearing a lot of team bosses have not been very happy with the move.
One that is quite happy though, Charlie, Toto Wolff. What we believe is that Mercedes found evidence that Red Bull were using sensors to detect whether their tyres were on or not. I mean,
Another one for Toto and Christian Horner and Toto Wolff to be sparring about.
It does say, Charlie, within the regulations and the FIA documents that you cannot use sensors to detect whether your tyres are on or not.
No.
Right. So Latifi's still behind Mazepin and Schumacher, but by about 20.5 seconds. Perez radio now. So Perez being told, Charlie, Valtteri is closing in and they are considering their options. So is Perez and Red Bull going to be coming in a few moments' time? Because obviously Perez is on those soft tyres, Valtteri on the medium, so Valtteri can go longer.
Maybe.
Then Checo.
Strategical team play is what I think Red Bull are trying to do here.
As Valtteri laps Mazepin and Schumacher, Giovinazzi in the Alfa Romeo's come into the pits as well. I think Mercedes are going to need Valtteri in play today, aren't they? Hamilton did say if he wants to win this championship, he's going to need Valtteri. There's tyre screeching again as Leclerc tries to get past Ocon. Doesn't quite do it into turn 3, but will he do it into turn 4? He's going to look to the outside. Is he? Charles Leclerc. They're going side by side through turn 4. They're going to go side by side through turn 5, but Charles Leclerc gets that job done through turn 5, and he's up into 14th place now. Obviously, he picked up front wing damage on that one from that contact, which took Pierre Gasly out to the race, and Hamilton almost puts it in the barriers, Charlie, at turn 4. He's saying he's getting slow vibrations, Charlie, but he almost put it in the barriers.
Wow. I think they're starting to struggle now on those tyres.
They really are, and that's cost him half a second to Max Verstappen. Let's have a look at it again, Charlie. He goes in all right, and he just gets a snap of oversteer. He goes into the gravel as well. He turns into the slide. And he kind of walked into the gravel, Charlie. It was a hair-raising moment for Mercedes and Toto Wolff in the garage.
At least Hamilton's kept going, but the gap now is, I'm just updating, getting
5.1 seconds is the gap out in front.
Wow.
And Russell's in, Charlie, for Williams. Russell in the pits.
Russell's in. Interesting.
Verstappen radio. Verstappen saying the wind is really picking up. And George Russell into the pits then. Plan B, said Williams. What is plan B? We're about to find out, but it's slow, Charlie. It's really slow. What has happened? George Russell is still sitting there. Oh, no. He's still there, Charlie. They can't get the tyre off, Charlie.
Oh, not again. Not another issue for Wilnuts.
Now he's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
18.3 seconds, Charlie, for George Russell. And that curse of being in the points for Williams strikes again. As Perez comes in. Where has Russell come out? He's come out all the way down in 17th, Charlie.
Oh my God. What is going on?
So Sergio Perez is going to come out behind Lando Norris, but heartbreak for George Russell.
Perez's stop must have been much quicker.
Sonoda's coming as well. Latifi's in now. Bottas radio.
So everything you got struck tight.
Bottas being told do everything you've got, as Latifi seems to get in and out okay. So does Tsunoda, 2.3 seconds. Good stop from the AlphaTauri crew there. But everyone, Charlie, Bottas is being told to box. So Bottas will be in this lap for Mercedes-Benz. And Bottas comes into the pits then. Let's see his pit stop. Let's see what happens. Good stop for Bottas. George Russell, Charlie, is back in the pits. What has happened to George Russell? And he's still sitting there, Charlie.
I don't believe this. I cannot believe it. That is just heartbreak for Williams.
But Bottas is going to come out ahead of Sergio Perez. Russell is still in the pits. Alonso comes in now. Vettel's in. Russell, Charlie, looks to be out of the Styrian Grand Prix. No, he's come back out. He's got out okay. And Hamilton's coming in, Charlie. Hamilton's in. Mercedes are going to roll the dice. Here, So Hamilton's in. Vettel's in. Let's see the stop. Good stop for Mercedes, Charlie. 2.2 seconds. Nice clean stop there from the Mercedes crew. And it's going to be hammer time, isn't it? What will Red Bull do now? Will they leave Max out? So Hamilton will come out ahead of Lando Norris. That's crucial for the Mercedes, isn't it?
Yeah. Mercedes trying the undercut. Whether it will work or not, I don't know.
And all there's lots of debris on the track at turn 1. There's a lot of debris on the track at the exit of turn 1, Charlie.
Who's gone? Someone must have gone off.
Verstappen radio. Verstappen's coming in, Charlie, as well at the end of this lap. Stroll's in, 2.2 seconds for the Aston Martin crew. Right, Verstappen's coming in then. Let's see what the stop is for Max Verstappen. It's a good stop, Charlie. It's from Red Bull. It's, what's the time? 2 seconds exactly. Will he come out ahead of Lewis Hamilton? Yes, he will quite comfortably come out ahead of Lewis Hamilton.
Interesting. Verstappen ahead of Lewis Hamilton.
5 seconds, so the gap remains the same. But who's that? Bottas is just on the fastest lap of the race. Hamilton radio. So Hamilton being told, Charlie, that would have been last at this radio, that he has to conserve these tyres to the end.
Mercedes look like they're going for a one-stop here.
So why has Russell come back in, Charlie? They're plugging something into the left side of the car. Are they refueling the hydraulic system, maybe?
This is just ridiculous. If they're doing that, they might as well just retire it, because he's going to drop so far behind everyone.
Oh, Perez had a really slow stop, Charlie. What happened to Sergio Perez? 4.8 seconds.
Must have been a bit slow getting the jack off.
It was slow on the left rear. And Hamilton's just on the fastest lap, Charlie. So he's been told to conserve his tyres, but he's just on the fastest lap of the race.
Interesting. Verstappen's probably been told to do the same, to conserve his tyres.
4.5 seconds now, the gap out in front.
Yeah.
So the clerk, Charlie's come all the way back to 9th place. That's a brilliant recovery from the Ferrari driver, who obviously had to pit on that one. Yeah. He's had a really good last 30 laps of this race.
He has, by the sound of it.
He's even chasing down Ricciardo and Raikkonen, who are both, well, I think Ricciardo's yet to stop. Raikkonen, I think, did stop on that one. But Verstappen is just on the fastest lap, so he's matched Hamilton. We haven't seen, Charlie, don't rule it out, we've seen it in the past, last lap overtakes here at Austria for the lead of the race, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. It's going to be interesting.
As we get towards, half a second is the gap now between Ricciardo and Leclerc. As Lando Norris comes into the pits, it's a good stop from the McLaren. He gets a lot of wheel spin getting away though, 2.3 seconds. And it's going to come out behind Sainz, who's yet to pit. Verstappen radio. Oh no, Charlie, Max Verstappen's reporting a problem with his power.
Oh no. Oh. Remember last year in the first race, Verstappen retired with a mechanical issue.
Norris is going to try the outside of the Alpha Romeo at turn 3. Can't quite do it, but he's going to go wheel to wheel down the straight, and he quite comfortably gets past Kimi Raikkonen and into 7th place before he even gets to the braking point at turn 4.
I'm keeping an eye on the racing here very closely. Verstappen, hopefully this could be a reset, but if it's not, this is just crazy.
There's still a lot of distress and concern. Hamilton radio. Hamilton saying he's got a lot of derates everywhere, which is when he's harvesting, Charlie, when he's harvesting the battery.
Wow.
That gap, Charlie, is considerably coming down out in front, and it's worrying news, isn't it, for Max Verstappen?
Oh, this is crazy.
We'll put it this way, Charlie. Hamilton's taken nearly a whole second out of Hamilton in the last lap alone.
Verstappen just lost a second in the last lap. Wow.
He's just on the fastest lap of the race, interestingly. Verstappen radio.
These will be the critical laps for the stint. These are the critical laps for the stint.
So I think they have temporarily fixed that issue at Red Bull, Charlie.
Oh, that's good. Let's hope they have.
But even so, on the last lap, Charlie, Hamilton took half a second out of Verstappen. So 4.2 seconds down the gap. So Raikkonen and Ricciardo yet to stop. Currently sitting in 7th and 8th. Raikkonen 7th, Ricciardo 8th. So just to explain to you, derates is when the battery is charging and harvesting. What's happened to Stroll? He's gone all the way down to 18th.
He's probably had an issue, I reckon.
No, I think it's the problem with our timing screens, Charlie.
I don't know.
Because they've taken him away now. But he did go down to 18th temporarily. He's not running in 18th, I don't think. So Max Verstappen will extend his lead as it stands. No, Stroll's been put back up to 11th now, Charlie, where he belongs.
Yeah.
And Schumacher's in the pits, by the way. So if it stays this way, Lewis Hamilton will be trailing Verstappen by 19 points.
Wow. Going into the next week's Austrian Grand Prix.
So GP, Verstappen's race engineer, has just told him that on the data, Mercedes are having less degradation, so expect him to push. So I won't rule Hamilton out of this one just yet, Charlie. If we potentially get a safety car, I would say it's advantage Hamilton at this rate.
It could be.
Hamilton radio. Right, Charlie. Interesting here. Hamilton's a pit stop clear now, near enough, of Valtteri Bottas in third. And he said to his team, do I need to conserve? And they said, we're thinking other ideas. Is Hamilton going to pull off a two-stop?
Potentially.
And he could do it, couldn't he? He could push and then push Verstappen right to the limit, take the worst out of his tyres, and then pit at the end with like 10 laps to go. And Verstappen's about to catch, I think, about 8 cars, Charlie, who are all in the same part of the racetrack. So we're going to get a lot of blue flag action because Hamilton's not that far behind either. So it is going to be who can clear these lap cars the quickest. So the gap between Bottas and Perez standing at 3 seconds. So we do have about half the field in the same 3 corners at this rate. And who's come in? Is that Raikkonen? Yes, it is. Ricardo Radio. And Ricardo was told to box to overtake Raikkonen, but Ricardo hasn't come in. He's ignored the call, Charlie. As Ricardo, but out in front, it really is a 2-horse race now because Mercedes have got that open strategy plan, haven't they now? Crucially, that free pit stop. Oh, what's happened?
They really are going for it by the looks of it.
What's happened to Bottas, Charlie? He's got a massive cut in one of the right, the right rear of his tyre, I think. Left rear might be, actually. He's got a massive cut or a blister forming there. And either side of the racing line, there is a lot of marbles and a lot of debris on the circuit from that first lap contact. It's a battle forecast. Perez Bottas chasing. AWS predicts that Perez will catch Bottas in 5 laps, but the overtaking difficulty will be very hard as Leclerc and Russell come into the pits again. 3 seconds for Leclerc, but why is Russell coming in, Charlie? I think Russell is retiring from the Styrian Grand Prix, Charlie.
To go off to lunch with a bit of a horrible news for George Russell. I really hope that he bounces back.
He's come out. He's come out again. No, he's out, Charlie. He's being wheeled back into the garage, and George Russell is out of the Styrian Grand Prix.
That's crazy, guys. I'm going to have to go, unfortunately, because I've got to catch up with other motor at the British Touring Car Championship. But Jack, I hope you continue to entertain the listeners on your stream this afternoon.
Thank you, Charlie. We'll see you on Thursday. So George Russell out of the race then. That's heartbreak, isn't it? For Williams. So at the moment, it's 1 Red Bull followed by 2 Mercedes. What will Hamilton decide to pull as they start to navigate the lap cars? We'll find out in the next few laps what Hamilton decides to do. Does he roll the dice? He's got everything to play for, nothing to lose here. I mean, Hamilton said on the radio, how do I reset my dash? So I wonder if he wants a different kind of gear or something. I don't know, setting as Verstappen gets past the lap markers now. Verstappen versus Hamilton. Verstappen took, sorry, just 1 point, about 1.5 tenths of a second on that last lap, but he's not really making the gain at the moment, is Lewis. It'll be 3-all in the wins, but Verstappen has one more podium, that Monaco podium, where Lewis didn't finish on it. Lewis hasn't won a race since Barcelona, actually. So he needs to get back to winning ways. However he does it, it's crucial that he does it in the next couple of races, really. Live Drivers' Championship, Leclerc would go down to 7th, and the two Ferraris will be tying on 52 points. But Leclerc gets a bit too close for comfort to the back of Raikkonen. Sainz would be ahead because of the podium he got in Monaco, but they're all getting blue flags now, this train. They got to lap the car of Nicholas Latifi, who lets them all through. But a day that promised to be quite good for Williams has turned into being out to be an absolute disaster, unfortunately. Right. Then see how this plays out. Leclerc against Raikkonen. Leclerc chasing up towards turn 3. He's going to try the inside, is he? At turn 3 to get past the Alfa Romeo. Can't quite do it. And the Alfa Romeo gets a much better exit. But Leclerc's going to get that DRS. And he's going to try the outside, but turn 4, but they almost touch. And Sainz is fine, and he's coming into the pits. Sainz in then. And the two Ferrari drivers are no longer tying on points anymore. Fastest sector 4, Max Verstappen. Sector 2, who's that? And is that Ricciardo finally in the pits? Yes, it is. Where will Ricciardo come out? Hamilton's trying to navigate all these lap cars as well. Ricciardo comes out in 15th, just behind Esteban Ocon, and almost touch with Nicholas Latifi, who's now going to let him through.
So, yeah, Sainz's pace is really solid on the used tyres.
And Sainz's pace on the used tyres was really solid. He's coming again now, and he's come out in 7th, so he didn't lose too many positions there.
Yeah, so I got a bit of news on that Alonso-Sainz battle. It's brilliant. I have to say that that's a great battle with Stroll as well. Driving a brilliant race today. But Alonso was seething on the radio just now because Verstappen lapping him cost him that position with Sainz. He's absolutely seething.
And we're hearing Verstappen lapping Alonso cost him a position with Sainz. So that was the reason. Raikkonen radio now. Did they touch then?
This was mighty close.
Oh yeah, they did touch. They did make contact. Leclerc's lucky he hasn't got a puncture from that. Well, he might have, but I mean, he did take the end plate off, I think, of that Alfa Romeo's rear wing.
All race long here, so I just have to check to make sure the Sainz very much was in 7th place, and Lance Stroll here because you could see the Ferrari, I'm sure, in his wing mirrors.
Now Stroll and Sainz are going to go for it. But Sainz is going to be out. He's going to be behind Stroll. But for how long as they rise up the hill towards turn 1? And Sainz is going to have a real go now, is he? Up towards turn 3. Is he going to get the job done? Not quite. The Ferrari isn't quite like him. But they're going to do the old switcheroo, is he? And he's going to go wheel to wheel down towards turn 4. He's got the DRS and he's going to get the job done before the braking zone. And Sainz is back up and into 6th place. Hamilton radio.
So for free air running looks like 2.5 tenths in the straight line. It's quite a margin. Well, that's what really said, isn't it? We're missing a quarter of a second.
And Hamilton's saying they're losing 2.5 tenths on the straight to Red Bull. I wonder if Mercedes will roll the dice at about lap 50 and potentially bring Hamilton in and catch Red Bull unaware. I don't know.
The issue of rear wings has been called into question, Martin, and the FIA have beefed up the test.
Right.
On the rear wings to make sure they don't
Leclerc and Giovinazzi are going to go for it now.
I don't know this weekend, but
Giovinazzi currently heading Leclerc into turn 3. But what's it going to be like on the exits? Leclerc goes for it from a long way back and gets the move done. He went down the inside of Antonio Giovinazzi. And that was a great move from Charles Leclerc. I mean, Red Bull running with lower downforce this weekend. Is that gap's come out to about 6 seconds now. Out in front, looking pretty comfortable for Max Verstappen at this moment in time then.
Red Bull wanting Max Verstappen to risk too much and steal that back. We'll find out later on that every single point is going to count.
I mean, Lewis would get the World Championship, the extra World Championship point for that fastest lap. I wouldn't think Red Bull would want to take the risk of trying to get Max to get that back.
Sainz at turn 3, Norris at turn 4, as it stands at the moment. A bit of catching up to do. Talking of which, just in about now, we're expecting Sergio Perez to be right on the rear wing of Valtteri Bottas. Is he just hanging back a little bit as well?
Right then. Let's have a look as Ocon and Raikkonen are doing battle towards turn 4. Raikkonen is still going to come out just that little bit in front then of Kimi. Point the camera to the TV. I can't do that unfortunately for copyright reasons. We get fined about £5,000 if we do that. So we can't. Unfortunately, we can't do that. Unfortunately, so that's why we're just doing like on watching on kind of thing. So yeah, we're not allowed to point the camera towards the TVs, unfortunately, because it is copyright. That is the main reason why we can't do it.
Just trying to bring the tyres back to the temperature that pushing them on there was unnecessary. I cooked the tyres.
Yeah, Perez is just taking half a second.
It's about Valtteri saying he's trying to bring the tyres back to temperature because Checo's just taken half a second out of Valtteri, but right, Ocon and Raikkonen are going to do battle once more towards turn 4, but Raikkonen once more is just going to be that little bit ahead of Ocon coming in and out of turn 4. The Red Bulls had some speed today, isn't it? They look really, really mighty around here. Will the Mercedes come good at the end of the season? We don't know. Yuki Tsunoda coming in tonight, the only remaining AlphaTauri left in this race, as he rides the curbs. the cheeky Tsunoda, and he's going to do it out with Fernando Alonso at turn 3, but it's going to be Tsunoda who remains behind Fernando. And weather radar. Looks like the weather's going to be staying away for the rest of this race. Maybe next weekend there's a slight chance we might get some rain next weekend. We'll have to wait and see. So lots of battles brewing on the track, but actually not a huge amount of overtaking at this moment in time. 6.5 seconds, the gap out in front.
With the largest ever margin of victory at the Red Bull Ring by 13.7 seconds. Nowhere near that sort of pace advantage for Mercedes in 2021. Red Bull have not only caught up, but seem to have outdeveloped Mercedes so far this season.
Are Mercedes going to roll the dice? We haven't seen them do it yet. As the clerk gets close to Lance Stroll, I got really close. And that Ferrari was really affected with vibrations, and Vettel locks up, and the clerk eventually gets through. Someone's gone off as well, though. Is that someone dipping a wheel into the gravel? The clerk really got loads of vibrations when he got stuck behind that Aston Martin. Let's have a look again. It's wheel spin, isn't it? As he cuts across. Just simple wheel spin, unfortunately. For the clerk, who eventually gets the job done at turn 4, and Sebastian Vettel locks up for good measure too. He's locked up twice, hasn't he now, said Vettel? And Will at Aston Martin is currently sitting in 11th. Be making an appearance into the pits.
It's all about getting to the end now. So 20 laps remaining.
Forget the two-stop now, and I think Mercedes have abandoned that theory. Paul, back to you.
I'm just going to say, it's not all what's over, because I went out the back, you wonder where the clothes are, and it's in 50 dark. You would certainly be nervous heading up to turn 3 during match for Stafford, because you'd be looking at the sky thinking, no, please don't come. Let me get wet when I'm on the podium, but I'm sure Mercedes would say, bring this on.
Yeah, well, the rain might be their one big salvation. Thanks ever so much.
Stafford radio now.
So we think that's related to the curbs at turn 9 and 10.
So Verstappen having issues with his brake pedal. They are aggressive, those curbs.
He's having more issues with his brake pedal, and he's being told they are to do with the curbs at turn 9 and 10. They are quite aggressive, those curbs. And a brake pedal issue, I haven't seen that in a little while, but there's still that big cloud, grey cloud, lingering over turn 3. Could the rain possibly be Mercedes' saviour this afternoon? Because obviously it does come down, they'll all have to pit again and potentially come in for Stafford radio.
I'll try to take care there, but it's really random what happens. I mean, what are you going to lose if you stay off the curve?
I mean, Verstappen's being told to stay off the curves, but you then lose time, don't you? If you stay off the curves, you lose a lot of time.
Stay inboard at 9 and 10.
What did it cost you? Probably half a second of that, if you can, and you've got to try and make that up somewhere else for Stafford radio again.
Specifically, the issue is braking turn 10 whilst on the curve. Just for information.
So they're saying specifically the issue is braking turn 10 on the curb, but he's still extending that gap. As we stand, 7.8 seconds is the gap. He still goes on that curb though, doesn't he? Does Max Verstappen? And he's got to try, hasn't he? Get through as much as he can. So they climb up towards turn 3. Well, Valtteri Bottas does anyway. Looking quite dark up there actually, turn 3. And it doesn't. We normally get quite unlucky with the weather recently, don't we, in F1? It's supposed to rain today, it hasn't rained at all. And I can guarantee you when we're on the podium, it's paused now. And Hamilton's got blistering on his front right. And Leclerc's locked up at turn 4. See, and he's going to try for it, Leclerc, at turn 6, but I don't think he does it. No, he doesn't.
Blistering for Lewis, it's the passenger in a lot of the corners because, as we said earlier on, at the 10 corners, 8 of them are right-handers.
And 8 are right-handers here, so you're gonna really, aren't you, gonna 8 right-hand corners is a lot. The 2 left being turn 6 and turn 7, they're the only left-hand corners on this track. So, oh, who's coming in? Sergio Perez is in the pits. And it's a brand new set of mediums. So Perez in then.
Surely he's trying to take the fastest lap away from Lewis Hamilton as much as anything.
Well, he's got 16 laps. Now, how can he...
I mean, is that to take the fastest lap away from Lewis Hamilton? As Leclerc gets past Tsunoda, maybe to potentially try and take the podium from Bottas if he pushes like crazy here. Remember, you can vote your driver of the day, f1.com/vote. Vote closes at the end of this race in 15 laps. That is.
They have not got a new set of tyres to throw on Valtteri Bottas's car. This is the player once again with Tsunoda on the outside.
Tsunoda tries. Leclerc tried the outside. He done the switcheroo to the inside at turn 4, and he managed to relatively get past Tsunoda with relative ease. Alonso currently sitting in 8th place. He's going to have to think about defending from Leclerc, who's on the charge this afternoon. Alonso's going to have to defend the inside, is he? Leclerc's going to go to the outside. He gets very close at turn 4. And Leclerc does it. Just about. 15 laps to go then. Hamilton Radio.
Options are just spamming it out on the timing.
Second place, not something that comes naturally.
Of the words used there, second wasn't mentioned, was it? No, that's kind of.
Is Lewis going to unleash the hammer and go for it? I don't know.
The best chance they've got, because you have to assume Max can go faster if he needs to.
I mean, you always have to assume Max can go faster if he needs to, so.
Just thinking, Martin, Charles Leclerc haven't had those incidents on the first lap.
Perez is just on the fastest lap of the race.
Perez has just stolen a point, the fastest lap for Red Bull and for himself, providing he finishes in the top 10.
He is 18 and a bit seconds
behind Valtteri Bottas.
He's 18 and a bit seconds behind Valtteri. Will Mercedes now pit Lewis? Safety stop, I don't know, or to try and get that fastest lap back.
I've just been chatting. I've just been listening to the engineers chatting to the drivers there. So Perez, the engineer, saying, look, this is going to be close between us and Bottas at the end of the race. And Bottas is being told, get through this traffic as quick as you can, Valtteri. This is going to make or break our race against Perez.
At the moment, Martin, he is just behind.
So Valtteri being told to get through the traffic as quickly as he can. Then let's have a look.
Earlier on in the race, but if it happens again, he'll definitely get him.
Yeah, it's just happened. Straight.
It has those two. I don't know if there are any. There's so many on there. I mean, I've just anything earlier in the race.
A lot of blue flags and a lot of track limits as well.
Suppose does the fastest lap of 1:07.8. Then Hamilton radio once more.
Track limits again, turn 10. So just be careful with the track limits, Lewis. You get a penalty otherwise.
That's the last thing that Lewis Hamilton really wants for his afternoon. I'm not saying he's under threat of losing that second place with a penalty.
So he's got.
You want to try and avoid it at the moment.
He's on a warning now for track limits, is Lewis, at turn 10.
And Max Verstappen and Mercedes are looking here, Martin, at quite a key afternoon, I think. The first time since the start of 2014, if it all stays like this, the Mercedes will go 4 races without a win.
And it would be the first time since 2014, if it all stays like this, that Mercedes have gone 4 races without a win. But obviously, there's still 12 laps to go. So absolutely anything, 13, sorry, absolutely anything can still possibly happen. Perez radio now.
Still behind Daniel.
So AWS predicts that Perez will get past Bottas in 7 laps, as Ricciardo gets past Giovinazzi for 13, and is that Leclerc chasing Stroll for 7th? It is. Remember, you can vote driver of the day, f1.com/vote. Vote closes at the end of this race. That's 10 laps time then.
But also with Carlos Sainz at the moment, who's sat in 6th place after starting 12th. Whilst we watch this, the gap
Leclerc got a good exit from turn 1.
Here comes the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc.
And the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc's going to go for it on the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll and gets the job done on the inside at turn 3. That was a really good move, but the Aston Martin driver is going to try the outside of turn 4, but the DRS, Charles Leclerc, just giving him that little help in hand. Let's look at Valtteri then. Has he got past? No, he's still really struggling to get through those back markers, isn't he?
Quite a while as well. The irony is that I think Hamilton's kind of just about holding Sainz up, trying to really fresh set of tyres, if you remember having run so well.
I think Hamilton's kind of holding Sainz up now because he's not putting away. Obviously, Hamilton doesn't have to let Sainz through because he is the lead guy.
He's probably going to get DRS actually Lewis Hamilton to try and unlap himself here as we see the gap between.
I mean, Sainz could unlap himself.
Sergio Perez is now down.
Here.
Just over 13 seconds.
I mean, that gap between Perez and Bottas just down to about 12.3 seconds now. But Perez, of course, has to navigate the traffic. Verstappen radio.
Yeah, he talked there a few moments ago. Verstappen's going to be looking at that thinking, oh no, we don't need rain on this one. Yeah, the gap now, just about 12.1 seconds.
Verstappen saying there's a lot of clouds gathering up at turn 3. We don't need rain on this one. No, if you're Red Bull, you don't. If you're Mercedes, you do. I haven't seen a picture of the clouds in a long while. I can imagine it will fall after the race. That'd be a typical thing to happen, wouldn't it?
nervous times then. It looks like it's got it well covered, doesn't it, with 11 seconds.
11 seconds now, the gap. Hamilton Radio.
Nothing on the radar.
Hamilton saying is there rain coming? Bono saying nothing on the radar. But obviously, anything could potentially happen here, couldn't it?
The forecast hasn't been entirely accurate all weekend long.
I mean, the forecast hasn't been entirely accurate all weekend long, so I wouldn't rule out anything.
Here in the Styrian Hills this afternoon. Hot for the drivers in the cockpit, hot for the tyres on the track as well. Just pick up. Valtteri Bottas should be able to drive through it, but I wonder if he is starting to struggle a little bit after saying, didn't he, to his team, you asked me to push, and that wasn't a very good idea on these tyres. That's cost me a little bit.
Depends on the camera over there, doesn't it? If you look straight up in the sky, it looks like a guaranteed thunderstorm, doesn't it? Paul's got news for us. Yeah, keep our Carlos saying to the call in your right? He has got a nice head here. He's been stuck out for this, unfortunately, as he came out to the pit stop. I feel for him. But if you were Mercedes, you kind of want to be asking yourself a question.
You could look straight up at the sky and say that's a potential thunderstorm, but question is, when is it coming? When it hit in time for the end of this race.
A little earlier, if Hamilton pits, then Verstappen just covers him and makes the pit stop himself. And they've got a new set of medium tyres.
Verstappen, Perez was 1.7 seconds quicker than Verstappen on that last lap then.
Mercedes were really hoping that they would have better tyre longevity in this race today.
It's not over just yet. Not over just yet.
Further down the field, I should say. 14th now for Esteban Ocon as he gets past Antonio Giovinazzi.
11.9 seconds, nearly 12 is the gap out in front. But don't want anything out in the Styrian Hills this afternoon. Mercedes don't want to get caught up with science lunging at them, do they? Will Hamilton pit and try and steal that fastest lap away from Red Bull?
Bottas is trying to get past Daniel Ricciardo and lap him.
And Ricciardo and Raikkonen and Vettel are going, but Bottas is behind them as well.
Because the Australian has now got Kimi Raikkonen close enough to get DRS assistance, which is worth about 8 miles an hour down the straight.
But
this is hurting Valtteri Bottas.
Daniel Ricciardo's now got DRS assistance as well. This is really hurting Valtteri Bottas.
I've not seen any blue flags being waved for Daniel Ricciardo.
I'm surprised he hasn't got blue flags yet, but then Bottas is still a fair way away at the moment. Remember, you can vote driver of the day, f1.com/vote. We'll see what happens. Science Radio now. And Science has unlapped himself with Lewis Hamilton. Then vote closes for the driver of the day in 5 laps. So Science has got past Hamilton, but he's a lap down, Carlos Sainz, so he hasn't got past Hamilton. And Daniel Ricciardo gets very close to the back of the Alfa Romeo, but he not quite close enough into turn 4. Turn 5 and 6 now. For Daniel Ricciardo is getting closer. 13th, 11th and 12th is the battle for this. As Latifi finally is not last anymore and gets past Nikita Mazepin. Then
cost him a really good chance of 5th place in London.
Raikkonen's got DRS, which is crucial to Sebastian Vettel to keep Ricciardo behind him. But what can Raikkonen do? Up the hill towards turn 3.
There is the swapper out.
Oh, and they really do look a bit close. They got a bit too close for comfort. There's 5 laps to go here at the Red Bull Ring then. Verstappen leads Hamilton by over 15 seconds now. Last year it was Mercedes leading Red Bull by 15 seconds. This year it's the opposite way round. They've been the hunter of Mercedes for so many years. They're now getting hunted by Mercedes. Like the gap between Perez and Bottas now stands at about 6.8 seconds, but Ricciardo was close to the Alfa Romeo, but he just got that blue flag sign at the wrong time for Daniel Ricciardo. That could really cost him. It does just show how blue flags interrupt and affect these battles, but Raikkonen and Stroll are going to go at it towards turn 4. Raikkonen doesn't do it. He thinks it's better to play safe on the Aston Martin. Then it's the 160-second start for car number 7 today, Kimi Raikkonen. Just a little fact there.
I was thinking Barry Sheen and some Sterling Moss.
Hamilton Radio. Hamilton asking, is Valtteri under pressure? Not at the moment, but he might be. Comes the end of the race, which we're almost at. The race has flown by, isn't it? The 71 laps really does fly by when you're at Styria. And is Kimi Raikkonen going to think about it into turn 3 on the Aston Martin and Stroll? No, but he's going to be close here. Now 3 laps to go at the Red Bull Ring. And the Alfa Romeo is going to go around the outside of Lance Stroll at turn 4. And that's a really good move from Kimi Raikkonen to go up and into 11th then. And he's got, 3 laps to close down the 3.7 second gap on Yuki Tsunoda, which pretty much isn't going to be possible unless something rather dramatic happens.
To watch what's going on in front of them and see TV screens as well, because Bottas is half a lap behind him.
So, gap, Perez and Bottas, 4 seconds now. Perez is going to really have to get a move on if he wants to do this, because he's also got to navigate the traffic. But Norris Radio now. So Norris being told few drops possible, but nothing significant, nothing to worry about. It won't wet the track in any way, shape or form this afternoon then. It's been a comfortable afternoon for Verstappen. That gap, 17.5 seconds now out in front. And Hamilton's coming in, I think. So it's a safety stop, isn't it? Just in case there's a safety car or something. And it's a good stop. 2.7 seconds from the Mercedes crew.
If it does start to rain, you're better on a newer set of slick tyres that have...
I mean, maybe what they're looking at, if it does rain on the last lap, which it could well do, then you're much better on a new set. But it's going to come out in the traffic. It's only going to have a few cars to navigate, which they hopefully should get nicely out of the way for Lewis Hamilton. And he's going to get past Stroll. And it's only going to be Kimi Raikkonen that's ahead of him. Then he could potentially go for the fastest lap on the last lap. Final lap then, here at the Red Bull Ring. 38 seconds is the gap. But obviously Hamilton came into the pits with 2 laps to go. Bottas is watching out for Perez. 1.5 seconds is that gap. Perez really gaining though, could potentially be with DRS on that straight towards turn 3 on the last lap. Hamilton's going to get a shot at fastest lap here though. Take it to 19 points. He's got a nice clear final lap here to try and steal that World Championship point away from Sergio Perez. Verstappen's cruising to victory this afternoon though. 2 race victories in a row it will be. But Sergio Perez is going to be right behind Valtteri Bottas, but he isn't going to quite be close enough as Max Verstappen extends the championship lead, takes the checkered flag and wins in Styria this afternoon. He's crushed the opposition. 39 seconds was the gap. The 3rd time he's won in Styria. Norris comes home in 5th. Lando Norris is... Hamilton's going to try and do fastest lap. Valtteri and Perez are really going for it. Who's it going to be? It's going to go all the way to the line. Hamilton's got a couple of corners to do. He comes home in 2nd. But Perez, is he going to be close enough into the last corner? He does get the fastest lap to Lewis Hamilton. Perez isn't going to be close enough. Bottas is going to get that final podium position. Perez comes home in 4th. Half a second was the gap between Valtteri and Checo. But a rather entertaining end to the Styrian Grand Prix this afternoon. The staff away, let's have a listen.
Yeah, unbelievable. The car was on fire today. So nice to drive. Unbelievable. Thank you very much.
That was absolutely clinical, Max. That's a great drive. Keep turning that screw. Well done.
And another win at home feels really good.
We're into the home of Red Bull, of course.
Verstappen saying it was easy to drive today. It was enjoyable. So we obviously got Austria next week again. Hamilton got that fastest lap, crucially.
I think the key though, Red Bull feel at home pretty much everywhere at the moment.
That Red Bull car really looking good. Hamilton radio once more then.
Good job today. We've got past this lap. Please do.
Okay, with everything, guys. Let's keep pushing. Another result we wanted, but still got good points.
Take off the margin for the 2nd pit stop and call it 15 seconds between Verstappen and Hamilton.
Lewis saying
that round in the space of 7 days. We're coming back here next Sunday.
I mean, if you take up the gap for the pit stop with them in 15 seconds, how do you turn that around in 5 days when we come back here next weekend? It'd be hard, won't it, for the Mercedes team? And it's advantage Red Bull at the moment. Triple headers, no time to recover, is there?
Something to change things around a bit. At the Red Bull ring next weekend because they didn't have an answer to Red Bull here this afternoon.
Mercedes will need a bit of rain or something next weekend to savour them. The first time Mercedes haven't won in 4 races since the turbo hybrid era. The Dutch fans who are packed into the Red Bull ring this afternoon are going absolutely crazy. What will it be like when we have a full house next week? As Verstappen hugs his team as they pull up on the grid. 49 podiums for Max Verstappen. Could get his 50th next week. That 100th race victory, the wait for that 100th race victory goes on. for Lewis Hamilton.
Stance, I think, for the defending champion.
The defending world champion has got a lot to work on. His spare 5 days or 4 days at Austria.
Well, not on the evidence that we've seen in the past of how they've reigned supreme in this era since the start of 2014 of the 1.6 litre V6 turbo hybrids. But Red Bull this year, the team that developed very well during the season, that turned up with something that's got out of the box faster straight away.
Will the Mercedes come good at the end? They have to. At this rate. Perez 47 seconds behind his teammate. In the end. I'm going to hear the drivers' interviews very, very shortly and see what they have to say.
We mentioned Ferrari 6th and 7th. Lance Stroll came home to finish 8th ahead of Alonso, who just held off Yuki Tsunoda for 10th, and Kimi Raikkonen missing out the points, coming home in 11th.
Kimi Raikkonen came home in 11th, just missing out on those crucial points this afternoon.
Championship, 18 points between Verstappen and Hamilton in the Drivers' Championship.
18 points now, the gap out in front. Nearly a whole race victory for Max Verstappen. He's increased control in the championship at the moment. And Lewis having that rare feeling of being the hunter. Post-race interviews hosted by Mark Webber. Coming up. I can find what I've done with the...
Well, Max Verstappen, mate. 14th Grand Prix victory. Was there any Grand Prix that was easier than that, mate? I tell you what, that was pretty straightforward for where else did you?
I mean, you never know, of course, how it's going to end up, but straight away I felt a good balance in the car, and yeah, it was good to manage the tires basically from the start. So felt like also to the end, I always had tires left, and of course they pitted a bit early, well, one lap earlier than us. We reacted to that, and then we just kept on going, trying to hit our lap times, and yeah, that worked really well today.
And you must be looking forward to it. The 2 races here in a fortnight, well, back-to-back, obviously, 7 days' time, you're going to go again at this venue. So you must be seeking some great comfort with that, with this championship battle really coming in your favour now.
Yeah, I mean, that's very positive, but of course we have to show it again next week. So we'll definitely have a look what we can do better. And yeah, and I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah, and in terms of, I mean, Sergio did his best to get through, but in terms of the constructors' reliability, I mean, all the momentum is now starting to come in Red Bull's way.
Yeah, it's looking really good. So we just have to keep on going, keep pushing really hard, and then I'm confident, yeah, that we can do a very good job again.
Thank you very much, Max. Well, Lewis, I must say, in the previous Grand Prix, I've really never seen you drive as well. That was an extraordinary performance in regard to try and fight this battle against Red Bull, but you didn't really have the answers today. Congratulations on second place, but where did you feel you lost the Grand Prix today?
Thanks. It was a bit of a lonely race, really. I was trying to keep up with those guys, but the speed they have, they've obviously made some big improvements over the last couple of races, and impossible to keep up. So I don't know where we're losing all the time, but I think the long run seems to be a bit better. They seem to be able to continue pulling out those laps, and obviously on the straight, we lose a lot down the straights. So, or it feels like we lose a lot down the straights. But nonetheless, we got good points as a team today, and we just got to keep pushing.
Yeah, well, you say you were in a fight, buddy, with this team, obviously against Red Bull now. They're really laying the gauntlet down in terms of development, in terms of speed. Where do you see this championship now going? Because obviously they've now had some wins on tracks where traditionally that's been your home turf in terms of victory. So now they're getting this momentum. Is it starting to get a bit of concern for you?
I try not to concern myself with that. I mean, naturally they're faster, which is faster. So there's not a lot that I can do in that respect. I've just got to keep trying to just do the best job I can each weekend. We need to find some performance. We need an upgrade of some sort. We need to push. I don't know whether it's just the rear wing or whether it's the upgrade in the engine, whatever it may be. But we've got to find some performance from somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Well done, mate. Thanks,
Valtteri, congratulations on third place. I suppose that the maximum result was second today. You had the pit lane spin, which gave you the grid penalty. You're really recovering mode from then on today.
Yeah, I think from where I started, it was the maximum today, and it's good. I think it was important to in case they want to be in between the two cars to pick up the points. So a bit of damage limitation, and good thing we get to do all this again next week.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Sergio got your attention in the last few laps. I mean, Red Bull tried a different strategy to put some heat on you at the end, but you felt you had him covered.
Yeah, it was getting pretty close at the end, and there was not much margins. I think it was the best thing they could try, and it nearly worked. But yeah, I'm glad we could defend, and it's been a while I've been on the podium, so that's good.
Yeah, well, you've been fast here all weekend, hoping for a smooth weekend next weekend for a better result.
Exactly, no penalties and good quality, and then we go.
Yeah, all the best, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And whilst Mark Webber, Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton chat, I'm told it's starting to rain down in the pit lane in the paddock.
And just typically, as they all chatted, told it was just starting to rain in the paddock.
The teams who would normally be packing away, it always starts to rain.
Driver of the day then went to Charles Leclerc. The teams who normally begin the pack up now don't have to. Let's have a listen to Charles Leclerc.
But then a fantastic result. Tell us about your race.
It's a bit of a bittersweet feeling, to be honest. On one hand, it's probably one of my best performances ever in F1, but on the other hand, on the FP7, and I wish we were fighting a bit more in front, but unfortunately with what happened in the first lap, that's where we finished. But at the same time, I've had so much fun, so many overtakes, the pace was incredible, so yeah, very happy.
It's been great fun to watch. Congratulations, Charles, driver of the day at the Styrian Grand Prix.
As I said, not voted for by Pierre Gasly, but he did put in some brilliant moves.
So not voted for by Pierre Gasly, but he did in the end put in some brilliant moves because obviously he took out Pierre on the opening lap then. We're waiting for our drivers to appear on the podium. Here we go then. Red Bull have won in their own backyard once more in Austria. Third place. Valtteri Bottas then. As he walks out onto the podium. Thumbs up. Second place. Valtteri, Lewis Hamilton, sorry. Ties the record for the most all-time second place finishes now. And Verstappen wins at the Red Bull Ring for the third time, but the Styrian Grand Prix for the first. And in his honour, we hear the Dutch and the Austrian national anthems. the Austrian national anthem there, and the Dutch national anthem in respect of Max Verstappen as he receives the trophy.
I don't think they'll be asking for a recount, not after Max Verstappen holds aloft the winner's trophy.
He lifts up the winner's trophy and extends his lead at the top of the championship to 18 points.
50 years ago, 1971, in the same race as Nicky Lauda. So, fitting that we should go.
And Lewis Hamilton receives his second place trophy.
So, how sustainable is this championship challenge that Red Bull have taken up?
How long will this championship challenge last for Red Bull? And the celebrations for now are for Red Bull for now. Will Mercedes fight back next week in Austria, where we remain at the Red Bull Ring? We'll find out next week for qualifying when Formula One returns.